Hi guys, so I am not sure if it's the best idea to record a rambling pretty much the minute after I woke up, because you can't even see my my eyes are completely red. But I have so much to do now, and if I don't start, okay, I can say start early because I'm actually super late, because I've slept way too long, because I woke up at night again and tried to fix or make this in the background look better, because it's still not finished by a long time. Because if you can see the acoustic foam on this side, that's so work in progress, because I just leaned it against a big carton, a box. Here it's at least tucked into between the cardboard and the wall, so here it's safe. But I have to make that still fit properly. But I couldn't sleep because I had to do something, because I can't sleep properly at night and all that. So let me quickly mute that. Yep. But I have to at least start, because I have to throw out the review of the premium. Not sure if I will do this today, maybe tomorrow, but I should if I get the time, because I still have to do this rambling. What I definitely want to do today is to make the comparison between the Sony Z5 and the Z3, but I think I could make that one quite quickly. But other than that, I would like to know, what do you think about the new background? It's not quite ready yet, but the great thing is, what I like a lot, it's a lot brighter now. It's easier to get it slightly better lit, because here in the background it's still not, but I can't make something about it, because I can't get the light close enough not to get to the to make a glare into the monitor. So that's fine though, because this rest is bright, which is never was, and that makes the whole picture seem a little bit sharper, I think. So okay, maybe I will have to move up the camera a bit, because there is, as you can see, a whole line more, a column of things. There are just a few caps in, but I think it looks nice. I think I like it. I still have to maybe move around some things and so on, but I so far can't complain. The acoustic foam will be mounted, but I couldn't buy something on Sunday. I mean today. And yesterday it was just too late, because I just tried it, but I like it. I could of course make something else on the sides, but I like the acoustic foam idea, because here it just fits in properly. But one thing I'm a little bit disappointed, but you can't see that. Here I have this fine acoustic foam, and on this side as well, because I bought 7 new more of these platters. I'm not sure how to call it, but the old ones at the same company, at the same shop that I bought, were these way more loose ones. They were not that fine, and now it clashes with both of my, and the quality of this new one is way worse, because it's way more wobbly, and they cut them completely wrong, and I will definitely have to complain about that tomorrow. Either they give me some kind of money back, or they send me a few ones extra or something like that, because okay, you can see it right now, but there's a whole line of these pyramids, or this, that is completely cut off in the middle, and they didn't make a proper job, because the old ones were cut perfectly. But whoa, I'm talking for 4 minutes now and didn't even get to one topic. Okay, so let's start with the first topic, or the first two one, that is pretty much one. And that would be why my next phone needs an AMOLED display, but also the topic pros and cons of AMOLED versus IPS. So let's start off with why my next phone needs AMOLED. I want AMOLED for one particular reason. In the last couple of months, I've used a few AMOLED displays, and I used some even high-end IPS displays. And what I noticed is that it's not anymore the CPU performance or the processor package that only makes up for the smoothness of a device, because even the S810 in the Z5 line, and I've used it in the M9, the super smooth Nexus 5X. They all were super smooth, but one thing that held them back was the display. Yeah, it really did, because of the motion blur, and I can't stand this motion blur because it just makes the scrolling feel less smooth, even though it would be smooth. And I noticed there's one side by side I had the HTC One A9 against all of the Z5s, and the minute I scrolled with the A9, I noticed that's not possible. The scrolling is so much better and smoother. Maybe the device isn't faster, but the scrolling feels so much smoother with an inferior SoC package. Even though I gotta say this, the 617 from Qualcomm, the Snapdragon 617, really performs way better than the 615 and 616. So there's a quite big gap between those. It performs so much better. And that's my main reason. Of course, we also have the added benefit of the great blacks. I can't say, at least not in the case of the HTC One M9, that the colors pop more, which they usually do, because that one is the oddest AMOLED display I've tried. I've never seen an AMOLED display with such dull, washed out colors, but that's the calibration of HTC and not the AMOLED display itself to blame for. But it would have been nice to have some color control or so. But that's my main reason. Now let's get into pros and cons was AMOLED versus IPS. The pros of the AMOLED are, of course, yes, and this is what I expect to happen. The foam fell down because, yeah, yesterday it held better, but I just quickly made it. But at least you can see now that there has to be some work done. Sorry. I have to clear my throat because, yeah, that's what happens if you wake up just now. Pros and cons of AMOLED versus IPS. The pros of AMOLED: pitch black, awesome blacks. Usually better saturation. What you definitely get is a better contrast. Seemingly smoother scrolling because of the better refresh rates. They are just so much higher, even though these should, maybe they have the same refresh rates, but they have this motion blur not happening on AMOLED. Of course, also on AMOLED, the one thing is the power consumption. It seems that really AMOLED displays have an advantage here. Maybe also because I use darker themes if possible and all that, but in general it seems to be better. Also, viewing angles these days are better. And if you have a great one, also the sunlight readability, even though that's not so important for me because I don't use my phones that much in direct sunlight. So what are the cons? The cons definitely are possible burn-in, even though I haven't seen one yet because I haven't used an AMOLED for... One did I use my last one on a regular basis? It was my HTC Desire. And since then I only use them for reviews, so I can't say anything about burn-in. That's the one thing. Any other cons? For some people, possibly the oversaturation, which is less of an issue for me, but I totally see that. But like I said, that's a thing of calibration from Samsung, why most people think, since they all only use it almost only, and everyone thinks, yes, the AMOLED display, but it doesn't have to be, because the Huawei's that I tried with the AMOLED, like the Mate S, it was natural. The colors were just slightly oversaturated like they are on some other phones. So it doesn't have to be because of the AMOLED. Maybe they use the AMOLED and then oversaturation because it's way easier because of the great contrast and so, but it's definitely not particularly a thing of the AMOLED. Now, IPS, what are the pros? I guess a pro that doesn't really concern us as a user is the cost. They are still a little bit cheaper. Should change though this year. They are maybe easier to make, but I don't really see... colors are possibly more natural, more properly saturated and calibrated, but I don't think that has so much to do with the display than the calibration. I think you can get both pretty much right. I don't believe that, and we will maybe possibly see that, since on CES they launched AMOLED displays in laptops, and I don't think that for example, what was it, ThinkPad, a Lenovo ThinkPad with an AMOLED display will have oversaturated colors, because on a laptop, on a ThinkPad especially, you want accurate colors. But what are the cons? Cons are definitely higher power consumption, because the backlight on the display is constantly working. Blacks are just nowhere near, especially on a certain angle, and at night on an AMOLED level you have IPS glow, which is still the case. The viewing angles just aren't on par with the better AMOLED displays anymore. So at least from my subjective standpoint, an AMOLED has just the upper hand in every case, except maybe the burn-in that I can't talk about on the Dell 30K, not 30K, 30-inch 4K that they showed off on CES. They have some technology called pixel shift, where the pixels always move a little bit, so you won't have any burn-in. But that's a monitor. That's a little bit of a different thing. There you always have some static elements like the taskbar and some things. So I don't think they do something similar on a phone, and maybe it would look odd or would just use too much power. But I'm really interested to see, because I'm trying my best, so my next phone will be an AMOLED. But of course, it's too bad if you would wanna put too much effort into that, because just deciding by the display itself isn't maybe the best solution. And I'm already at 11 minutes and I've just talked about one topic. Let's make it a little bit quicker. The Nextbit Robin, a dying idea. I can't stand this false claim of a great phone with the cloud. Why? They only offer 32 gigabytes of RAM. And I had this discussion because I commented on a video from them, or about the Nextbit Robin, said it's a great idea, but so many people still, it's not a viable solution for them. Why? Because they haven't fast enough internet, not enough mobile data and all that. Then everyone says yes, but it only syncs on Wi-Fi, which is true. But still, like 3 months ago, my Wi-Fi, even then my upload speeds just weren't fast enough, and uploading like a gigabyte of pictures or so would have taken like half the day. And I don't charge my phone half the day because it only syncs on Wi-Fi during its charging. So that's not a viable solution. And also my phone is charging for about 2 hours with quick charge, maybe 1.5. And in 1.5, my old line definitely wouldn't allow me to sync up all my stuff. And then there's still the one thing. Online storage is not as fast as local storage. And especially if I'm out and about, want to see some of my pictures I have on the cloud, I have to download 5, 6, 7, 8 megabytes per picture if I don't have it on the local storage. And that is definitely not as fast as an SD card in the device that has like 80 megabytes of read speed. So no. I think it's a shit idea, and I really hope just because of that they will fail, or at least get some backlash, or somehow at least learn and at least give me 64 gigabytes, because come on, from 32 to 64 wouldn't have been such of a big deal. And the one thing that I every time mention that no one cares about is, I say, hey, 32 gigabytes. That's about maybe 20. Everyone says, then I have 8 gigabytes for games, for apps and all that, and 24 for media. No, you won't have, because if you have a 32 gigabyte device, you will have at best 24 gigabytes left for you, because the system takes something up. 32 gigabytes isn't 32 gigabytes anyways, and then you are left with after all the apps with not even 20 gigabytes left. And if you install now a few games already, you are full, because I see this whenever I review a 16 gigabyte device, it's full like immediately. The 32 gigabytes hold up for a little bit longer, but I only use them for 2 weeks. And 32 is the bare minimum. But if you are a heavy gamer, have at least 5 or 6 games, and you want some media on your device, it will get super tight, and it's not enough. If they would have released the device with 64, I would have said nothing, because 64 is enough headroom, 32 is not. And they didn't maybe have to include an SD card, but 64 should be the minimum. This year should be 32, but on every flagship, it should already be 64, unless I have an SD card option. That's it. The next topic, Oh, I actually didn't even think of that. If I look to the side and read, if you can properly hear it, but I hope it's okay. OnePlus, wow, what ROM are you running? That is one thing that I saw on Google Plus, because there was, in my feed, there was a benchmark. Someone posted his Antutu score, not even sure how much it was. It seems to have been something good. And he says, "Wow, now somebody try to beat that." Then there were a few more people posting that, and like just 1 or 2 hours later, not that same thread, I saw another topic. Someone posted his one that had more, and then one person below that commented, "Wow, what ROM are you using? I have to have that." Why? Just based on the benchmark score? Come on, benchmark scores are nothing. You could optimize a ROM just to get great benchmark results, and it could still lag and stutter. We've seen this on so many times already. Back then, the Tegra 3, then some Exynos devices from Samsung back in the days that had great benchmark results, also because they overclocked the chip during benchmarks, and the in-app performance in daily use was garbage. So if I see someone basing his ROM choice just about the benchmark score, it is completely stupid. Actually, do you still use benchmarks? Because these days I use just about only Antutu, just not to get the score, just to see if the device actually throttles, because this one seems to be one of the longer benchmarks that needs the time, and if the device heats up, you will notice some throttling. And that I will just mention, device throttles, but I won't really consider that, because if I don't notice any of that struggle in the normal use, I will mention that, because also so many times, because if I do a hardcore benchmark on my PC gets hot because it uses 100% CPU and maybe GPU at the same time, the full time. But since I have a triple monitor setup all the time, have both things showing on the side, and I see a game uses often like just 40% maybe of CPU, not even that, and the GPU is around 80%. So you see none of them both are completely under load. And that's the same thing on those apps. They are in the 100% load, so they don't get as heavy as they do within these benchmarks that try to push everything. So I don't give anything about benchmarks, and that's why I never included them. Not on a PC review, not on a laptop review, and not on a smartphone review. And I won't. I just mention it briefly sometimes if I happen to do one, but that's about it. The video is very super long. Oh yeah, the last topic, the year of the S. Should I be more polite? What I'm talking here about is, for some reason this year, I'm not quite sure why, but maybe it's because of the new year, the bad weather and so on, I am a little bit more, I wouldn't say pissed, but after getting more and more lazy reviews and lazy comments, and I've talked about that already, and some unpolite, especially at the first week of January, I got some pretty stupid, some trolling comments, and also some just dumbass comments from people that ask something so stupid. Also things that I already answer within the review, that I was just sick of it. And I noticed one thing, since I don't really care about so much about the growth and being all polite, because I'm always, if someone makes a reasonable question, a good question, wants to know something from me, I always answer that. But these days, if I get a stupid question, then I give you a stupid answer, and you shouldn't expect anything other. Because there was someone who asked me, does this phone have a fingerprint reader? And I said during the review, one of the omissions was the lack of the fingerprint reader to save money. And I said, really, all I commented was, or replied was, did you even watch the review? And then he said, whoa, what's that? A way to talk to your viewer? Unsubbing immediately, I can't stand that, blah blah blah. And I said, no problem. Hey, if you are one of these lazy guys that doesn't watch the review properly, or is too lazy, because if you can type, does this phone have a fingerprint reader, then you can also type in Google, does the phone have fingerprint reader? And I'm pretty sure you would have gotten an answer within a minute, which is way faster than me giving you an answer that you didn't even get, because I won't answer these questions anymore. Not if it's within the review. Sometimes I will answer if it's a really brief mention of mine and you could have maybe missed that, but otherwise, nope, no. I'm just sick of it, and that's why I'm talking about being an ass, because many more times these days, if I get a stupid question, I answer like an ass. I don't like it, but at some point I'm just a little bit too pissed. I just don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. No, seriously. But to all of my subs that I know from a long time, if they make a stupid question, which they never do, then I would stay polite, because I know them for a long time already, and a stupid question can happen every time. But if I get something totally out of the box, and I get a little bit dumber questions, slightly dumber, because if you just don't have the knowledge, the experience and all that, then I get it. But some are just plain lazy, because you could type this question in Google, would get the answer, just look at the spec sheet of the device. Because why would you want to waste my time? I have a lot to do anyways, and I waste too much time already on this channel, considering what I'm getting back and all that. So it just must make me sense. I think it's a little bit unfair to me, because I really tried to give my best to satisfy everyone. But I've covered all I wanted to, and the video got a nice size, because last time I got a complaint that my video was too short. But that was off, and I gotta say, for having 1, 2, 3, you don't even see that? Good. For like about 4 topics, this was way too long, but this was actually one of the videos that I enjoyed more, because the last 2 ramblings, I think, were very off. That's it for today mostly. Let me leave in the comments actually which background you prefer more. This new one, which I will also try to get back to the dual camera setup. And maybe you didn't even notice this, but I'm using for this video also already my old cam. Because what I want to do is, I will talk about it in my setup video, because I have the same mount for both cameras now and for both locations, for the cam above me and this one. So I can switch pretty much instantly from one camera to the other and from one location to the other. And I think I will just stick with the newer one here above to completely get a nice picture of the device I'm filming, and this one, the old one, for me, it's not as good as in quality, but it's good enough, I think. There's not too much difference, I think, after maybe YouTube, but I will have to see that. I will use the best encoding that I can get. But I think I will also alternate. Sometimes do a dual cam review, sometimes do the old one with the yellow and gray foam, just to spice it up a little bit, not to get too pale, because, yeah, always doing the same, since I don't already do something scripted and things always look kind of the same, to keep it a little bit more interesting maybe. But let me know which one you prefer more. This one here, I guess most of you now will choose this one, because it looks a little bit less boring. There's more stuff going on, and some minor things will still change. But that would be it. The video is super long. Not super long for me especially, but I hope you still enjoyed it. Let me know if you did. Leave me any comments on all those topics. Let me know what you think. And that's pretty much it for today. I wish you still a nice Sunday if you watch this on Sunday. And I have to now get back to work and get the review done. Okay, until next time. Bye!